guys, it's Maddie here from IGN Wii, and this is the video review of Super Paper Mario. Super Paper Mario actually began its life on GameCube, but was later ported to Wii. Now you can only buy it on this console. And you might think that means, well, maybe they just quickly ported it over. But in fact, I've found that to be completely untrue. There's a lot of thought that went into this game. I'd call this a semi-sequel to the older games because they've really mixed things up a bit. You had before this sort of kind of heavier emphasis on an RPG mechanic. You had turn-based battles that were actually pretty cool because they were kind of dynamic. But Super Paper Mario throws all that out the window. So now you've got a game that really uses the second and third dimension, goes between them a lot for some very clever puzzles. In addition to that, you don't really have turn-based battles anymore. What you have are really real-time battles, and they feel a lot more dynamic, and you feel like you're really in control, and I like that. And this is a platformer, it really is. That is first and foremost what the game is. You're going to feel that as you go through the levels. It's very side-to-side gameplay mechanics where you go from one end of the level to the next, knocking down enemies. But Nintendo's added on top of that by giving you experience points, which you can see in the upper left-hand corner. And you can also have items, and you can switch between characters, which we're going to talk about. Mario has the unique ability of being able to go through the 2D and 3D dimensions, so you're going to be using him a lot in the game. Peach, meanwhile, can run and jump across chasms. She can actually float in the air, which is pretty cool. And Bowser, well, he's the big galoot, and he can duck down and shoot fire out, knock down enemies, and take down blocks. They all have their purposes at certain points in the game, but you're going to find that Mario is the one that really you're going to be using most of the time. And that for me is a bit of a gripe because I really would have liked to almost have been, had it been built into the gameplay mechanic that used the other characters, I think that would have been preferable. What really separates Super Paper Mario from any other title in the franchise for me is this whole 2D to 3D mechanic. And basically you're holding the Wii remote as you would a classic controller on its side. You hit the A button and you can go in and out of 2D at any point. I can tell you from experience this is not an afterthought at all. There have been entire levels built around this mechanic, and you will have to explore these areas in both 2D and 3D to find hidden items, to activate hidden doorways, and to basically just seek everything out. The setup is actually extremely clever, it's well done, it's well implemented, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. So let me just give you an example. You might be walking across the 2D plane and you'll notice a ledge that you can't get to. So what you'll have to do is switch to 3D, hit a block, that will then become active in the 2D plane. You can jump on top of it and gain access to the ledge. What I've found is that Super Paper Mario is a much better looking 2D game than it is a 3D one. And so, you'll see this beautiful 2D landscape that's kind of reminiscent of, say, an old Mario game. And it's just gorgeous. But as soon as you flip to 3D, you're going to notice it's kind of actually barren and a bit flat. And that's a big gripe for me. I thought Nintendo really developed the 2D look of this game, but didn't spend much time on the whole 3D realm. Essentially, this is a port, and we've mentioned that, but let's talk about some of the upgrades really designed for the Wii Remote. You can point the Wii Remote at the screen at any time to illuminate hidden objects, or just gain information on characters and items. And that's pretty handy. On top of that, you can actually gain style points when you jump on the tops of enemies by shaking the Wii Remote at precisely the right moment. And you can do this in sequence and keep mounting points up and up and up as you go, which is pretty awesome. As Mario progresses through the game, you'll gain access to these fairies, which are called pixels, and they give you special abilities. These play a huge role in the title, so you'll be flipping between them at various points in games to gain new maneuvers that you can use. Mario can utilize these pixels to do everything from dropping bombs, to turning himself thin, and he can squeeze through slim doorways, to using them to cross spiked floors, or maybe even to pick up objects and throw them at enemies. And there's a wide variety of them, we're talking in the realm of 10 plus, and they actually really change up the gameplay mechanic. You also gain access to what I consider to be less important items, although they are still valuable. This includes everything from shroom shakes, which restore hit points, to edible foods that also do the same thing. And then you've got offensive items such as lightning attacks. But even so, I think the items that are really necessary are the ones that restore hit points. You're not going to be using the offensive items, the ones that sort of attack enemies, very much. Super Paper Mario is wordy. I mean, the game is really, really wordy. And I really can't stress this enough. Wordy. If you've got kids, this game probably isn't for them. There's just simply too much reading, way too much of it, way too much story, way too much text all around. And, to its credit, the writing is actually really good. And it's funny, you'll have some laughs, but There will be times in this game where you just want to play and you wish the characters would shut up. The title features a variety of worlds. You're seeing some of them in this video review. We've got everything from classic style Mario levels to new space shooter levels to brand new dungeons. And, you know, Nintendo has really mixed up the look and feel of these levels. When you add in the fact that every level is both 2D and 3D, there's really a lot to explore and see here. If you're a gamer who feels your titles end way too quickly, I think you're actually going to be pretty happy with Super Paper Mario because there's a lot packed in here. This is a game that runs, you know, I think more than 20 hours for most players, maybe even longer for people who aren't progressing as quickly. And there's a lot to do and see, whether you're playing it as a platformer, managing as an RPG gamer, or, you know, considering an adventure and just, you know, meeting up with people, reading the stories and figure out what's going on. You're going to have fun. That said, the title's not perfect. You know, we have some gripes with the whole 2D to 3D mechanic, 2D being much more fun and being a little bit more beautiful as well. Plus, some of the characters are overused, and I'm speaking about Mario, and some of the RPG items are underused. That noted, this is still an excellent title, and we highly, highly recommend it, which is why we've given it an 8.9 and an Editor's Choice Award. For the full written review, check out IGN.com.